All right, Loudoun County, we've been talking about a lot, but it has been the epicenter of the battle over what is happening in America's classrooms. I mean, really, the nation's watching. That's why we had our Brave Vote Stand Summit there in Leesburg, Virginia, in Loudoun County. Well, yesterday, the school board released a statement on the transgender assault case that has made national news. Now, this assault was a byproduct of their gender-neutral bathroom policy. And the statement only served to create more controversy by saying they had no knowledge of the incident when they adopted the bathroom policy. Now, this is formally adopted the policy. That's what the superintendent, Scott Ziegler, had to say at a June 22nd board meeting. Well, parents in Loudoun County, as I mentioned, held a press conference today laying out the facts that counter what the school board claimed. Joining me now to talk about this is the executive director of the Fight for Schools and a former deputy director of public affairs at the U.S. Department of Justice, Ian Pryor. Ian, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, thanks for being a part of last week's Brave Vote Stand Summit. We talked about this last week. All right, today you led a press conference of parents there in Loudoun County. What was your message?
Well, we were really trying to go out there and lay out the facts. Parents have been doubted for months and really even 2 years as to what we've been trying to show. And, the mainstream media hasn't listened. The school board hasn't listened. But we went out there with facts. And our message was really three things. One, the superintendent clearly knew about this situation when he said that he didn't know at a school board meeting. Because of that.
Now, let me just stop right there. So there was a sexual assault in a bathroom at the school with a girl assaulted by a male wearing a skirt in the bathroom at the school. That was in May.
Yes.
He was asked about it at a school board meeting in June, nearly a month later, and he said he had no knowledge. Is that right?
Yes, he said he had no knowledge of any records of sexual assaults in bathrooms. Now, keep in mind that this was a meeting where the transgender bathroom policy was first up for debate and even possible passage. So, I don't think you have to extrapolate too much to see that they were trying to make sure that this policy's passage was not going to get derailed. So he made a statement that was false. Now, he also said, well, LCPS said in their statement that, the school system was working with the sheriff's investigation after May 28th. Well, if they were working with the sheriff's office, well, then clearly there were records and clearly the superintendent would have been aware of it. So for him to say that was just flat out false.
And the reason, as you pointed out, that would have derailed the bathroom policy that had drawn the opposition at that school board meeting had they admitted it had already led to a sexual assault, a rape.
That's correct. And, again, this school board is hyper politicized. But then the second piece of this that's very important is that they allowed this alleged assailant to go back into school at a different school in September, where a second individual was allegedly assaulted by the same alleged assailant. And now
in a similar manner?
Not in a similar manner. It was, I believe it was a groping incident, according to the reports that we've seen in the sheriff's press release. But the fact is, he was put back in the school. It's not clear whether he was disciplined, but, the school statement said, the sheriff's office asked us to hold off on investigating ourselves pursuant to Title IX until the sheriff had completed its investigation. Well, that investigation was completed on July 8th. So think about this. The sheriff's office completed an investigation in about 5 weeks. Now they have to deal with burden of proof, right? Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
Once that investigation was done, then it's up to the school to do an investigation under Title IX, which has a much lesser standard preponderance of the evidence. We don't know whether they conducted that investigation or not, but what seems clear is that there was no significant discipline that would have took this alleged assailant out of the school system where students would have been protected and this second alleged assault would not have occurred.
So with the superintendent, Scott Ziegler, either he is lying or he is uninformed as to what's happening within the school district. I mean, it can only be one of two things.
That's absolutely correct. And under either circumstances, He should not be working there anymore. And as far as whether the school board members knew or not, look, it's not clear. But again, you go back to the statement from the school system. They said that the school board did not have the specific details of the incident until they were reported this week. Look at that phrasing. They did not have the specific details until this week. If they didn't have any knowledge, that statement would have unequivocally said that they had no knowledge whatsoever. But even if we're assuming that they had no knowledge, if we give them the benefit of the doubt and the superintendent did not tell them, why is he still working there? They work for him, they work for us. Or he works for them, they work for us.
And especially when we're talking about dealing with a policy that led to this, that has been so controversial in the community. I mean, there is no excuse for this. So very quickly, Ian, what's next?
Well, today we held a press conference where we called for Superintendent Ziegler to be fired. We also asked any school board member that was aware of this, yet still pushed 80-40 through and voted for it, should resign. The remainder of the school board needs to commission an independent investigation to go in there, produce a report on the failures of the system here and any other failures that have happened over the past several years that we don't know about. And finally, we have asked our friend Attorney General Merrick Garland to do a Title IX investigation from the Department of Justice.
All right, well, we'll be watching this very closely. Ian Pryor, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.